بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. الحمد لله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد طب القلوب ودواؤها وعافية الأبدان وشفاؤها ونور الأبصار وضياؤها. One thing that's a pitfall, if you will, for those who are just beginning on the spiritual path, those who are just getting going with their religious practice, trying to establish a routine, trying to establish a regular kind of practice that you do. One of the pitfalls that you can fall into, and it's a dangerous one because it has an element of the nafs as well as shaitan that come into play. So not that long ago we had Habib Qadim Sagaf over here, and inshallah next week we have Sheikh Fawad Drami is going to be coming to visit, and then Sheikh Samir al-Nas is going to be coming to visit soon inshallah. So there's a lot of blessings that are coming through. But one of the pitfalls that people fall into is you get this kind of high from the spiritual high. You get this sense of elation from being around these people, and you feel driven that you want to do a lot of things. And those who are just partaking in the path, maybe you just you get bay'at to Habib Qadim when he was here, you're starting to establish a regular practice. The first period, what you will experience is this zeal. That because you're experiencing, and this is actually something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants the believer, the seeker, to affirm for you, to give you kind of an initial taste, like this is what you're going to have. And what that ends up doing is people tend to overexert themselves. You will find yourself wanting to do more and more. And the challenge for you is to say, Ya nafs, no, we're going to slow down on this. If you haven't trained at all, you've never gone to a gym, or you've been barely kind of scattered. Sometimes I'll go, sometimes I won't go. Many people have gym memberships that they don't even use, and then when the new year comes in, they get excited and then they start going. If you go that first time and you exert yourself too much, you get an injury. Our brother here, mashallah, he ended up getting scanned and found that he was exerting himself without realizing it. May Allah give him cure and shifa. So the challenge that you have is to basically go along with what the beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. You know, our concept or understanding of worship in Islam sometimes is warped by our own ideas. So we think being a believer and a practicing one is to do a lot, to always be in acts of ritual and worship and such. But he sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us it's actually an act of worship for you to do things gently, slowly. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Awghilu fi hadha ad-din birifq." Delve into this religion gently. If you're not used to doing a lot of awrad and a lot of adhkar all the time, and you go from nothing, from 0 to 100, I mean, even when you buy a brand new car, they tell you that first couple of thousand kilometers, take it easy. It needs to break in. The engine still needs to work. The pistons need to get used to it. If you overexert the car too much from the start, you can cause engine damage. So they tell you to take it easy. The same thing happens with this. You're brand new, you made tawbah, mashallah, and you said, Allah, I want to get on this path and I want to do this properly. So you do what the Shaykh tells you initially to start off with. And then after that he tells you, look, here is your awrad, do what you can, but be consistent with it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the beloved sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us that أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلَّ. The most beloved actions to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are those which you are most consistent with, even if they're very little. You should start off, if you are not used to doing anything, you should start off after you finish your salah, your prayer, you offered your prayer. Don't just immediately get up and get back into the world. Take 30 seconds at least, just sit down. You just said your salam. The first thing you should do is astaghfirullah, because you just offered a deficient thing. You should not immediately assalamu alaikum, and then get up and go into doing whatever it is that you want to do. Pause, take a second. You just finished offering something to Allah. Now you have to finish it. The prayer is done technically There's two levels to worship. There's the legal aspect and there's the ihsani aspect. The fiqhi aspect is Assalamu alaikum, your prayer is done, alhamdulillah, you've finished the legal aspect. What's the ihsani aspect? The ihsani aspect is Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh. Because why? Why are you asking Allah to forgive you? Because I just offered this deficient thing. I offered a deficient product. Oh Allah, please forgive me, I'm a human being. I was distracted in my prayer, I was fooling around, I was thinking about my accounting, I was thinking about my appointments, I was thinking about whatever it is that you were thinking about. Allah, please forgive me. That's ihsani aspect. You get up and you pray the sunnah. Why? That's ihsani. Sunnah doesn't mean optional, FYI. Sunnah just means that you're not getting punished for abandoning it, but it doesn't mean that it's optional. Sunnah is the fortress that you build around your prayer. So you get up and you pray your sunnah. Why is that? Because you're going to come on the day of judgment with a deficient action. Your obligations are going to be deficient. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to take those extra things that you've done. And you're also protecting yourself in this world. If all you're doing are just the obligations, you're exposed. So you have to surround these obligations with fortress, with protection. And the protection are the sunnah. The sunnah is literally your protection. It protects your obligations to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I remind myself and I remind all of you, before we begin anything regarding changes of habits, lifestyle, religious actions, worship, it always begins with small actions. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. You're not trying, and Allah make us all awliya, bil-lutf wa khair wa afiyah. But by and large, the general norm is that it takes a lifetime to get to that station with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of work. It's not something that happens overnight. So whatever you do, أَوْغِلُوا فِي هَذَا الدِّينِ بِرِفْقٍ, delve into this religion gently. He ﷺ said, لَا يُشَادَ الدِّينَ أَحَدٌ إِلَّا غَلَبَهُ. No one will take this religion with intensity except that it will overcome you. It will overwhelm you. You can't do all of it. Especially if you try to do it all at the same time. It's not going to happen. So I always tell people in Ramadan, advice, counsels, take something in Ramadan and commit to doing something that will go beyond Ramadan. Those of you who just taken a path and you're getting on a tariq and all of that, take something and just be consistent. And make a deal with yourself that once I make a commitment with this is it. If you're going to do 100 istighfars every morning after subh prayer, then that becomes an obligation for you individually. That, okay, now I've committed to this. I don't care what's happening. I need to do my 100 istighfars. If I have to do it while I'm walking to the bus or to the car or whatever, if I need to, if I'm in a rush, but I have to do it. I have to get it done. Do not start your day without finishing, if you're going to commit to that. Whatever it is. But make sure it's something that you can sustain. That you do not leave. And 6 months later, then we can have a conversation about, okay, I've been doing this for 6 months. I've been doing it for a year. What else can I add to it? You know, at the very least, you should be doing 100 istighfars, 100 la ilaha illallah, and 100 salawat on the Prophet ﷺ on a daily basis. That will just, it's very simple, take 5 minutes of your time, and you will notice over time that it will improve you. The second and last thing to mention about this is, whatever it is that you're doing for yourself, this is not a license for you to expect it of everyone in your household. People come with different capacities, with different ideas, with different obligations, with different things. People, they're just different. So if you're going to take on something for yourself, okay, we have basic minimal things. The daily prayers, they're obligatory at their times. You should be praying jama'ah at home with your family. That should be an established routine. But beyond the obligations, whatever it is that you're going to pick up for yourself, do not look upon anybody else at home to do the same thing. That's another way that shaitan and your nafs will try to sabotage you. Because what happens with that? You're no longer focusing on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're looking for external confirmation of your own self in other people, as opposed to establishing a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So just focus on yourself. Work on your own self. Call everyone around you with your own state, that you are improving. And when they're ready, they'll come along. But don't try to impose, whatever it is that you're doing at home, don't impose that on anyone else. Especially with kids, they're amazing. They'll just copy you. They'll just be amazed by it, and they're beautiful in that way. They're just, because they're fitrah. So they'll just copy. And the more they copy when they're younger, inshallah, when they're older, this will be natural for them. For the spouses, don't impose that on your spouse. If you decided that I'm going to do something, I'm going to increase my actions and behavior and all that, that's for you. Great, mashallah. Don't expect that from your wife and don't expect that from your husband. As long as you're supportive though, that you do not come in and you try to sabotage and just be supportive. These are the changes I'm working on. Yeah, just this I'm doing me, just help me do that. But don't impose it on anybody else. This is kind of a tricky thing where we start to lose focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we focus on those around us. And subhanAllah, the more you improve your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more He will make you into a light of guidance for those around you so that they will actually pick up. Because they will just, النفس للنفس تسرق. The self steals for the self. So they see improvement, it's attractive, they'll do it. So just focus on your own self. But whatever you do, if you take anything and if you forget all the stuff that I said, just remember the hadith. أوغلوا في هذا الدين برفق. Delve into this religion gently, slowly. I'll give you just one example of how extreme this goes. A man came to the beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam, just entered into Islam. So you're talking about someone who doesn't pray, doesn't do anything. And he said, 5 daily prayers is too much. I'm going to give you 3. And he sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, alright, I'll take 3. Now for most of us, what do you mean? You have 5 daily prayers, you have to do this. But the man said, okay, I'll do 3 and I will do nothing else. And the Sahaba were confused. And he sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, don't worry, this man will change. And sure enough, 3 wasn't enough for him. Once you taste, man dhaqa araf. Whoever tastes, they know. وَمَنْ عَرَفَ اخْتَرَفَ. And once you taste, you delve and you just take a whole pile. It's like, this is amazing. So you just have to allow people to taste it. You have somebody in your household, kids, teenagers, whatever, they're not praying. You don't have to keep chasing after them. Just come, just do this one with me. Just do it now. Teach them that this one we're going to do together. But don't try to police and be big brother, helicopter parenting, doing all of that just to try to enforce something. The more you do that, the more they'll flee away from you. And they'll flee away from the religion. The more you present it in an attractive way, in a loving way, subhanAllah, you'll just see that Allah will do the work. And don't forget dua. It is the weapon of the believer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will just improve the stations of you and everyone around you. So always make dua for yourself, and dua for your household, and dua for the rest of the believers. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.